For the most part, people don't understand what it takes to get food to the grocery store. People don't understand what it takes to be able to keep those shelves full. I think we're very privileged in that way, and I'm glad for that fact. But for us and people here at Farm Bureau, we work with farmers. We see farmers. We see their struggles. We see what's going on the quote unquote front lines these days. There's just a lot of things going on in our world, in the agricultural world, that a lot's at stake, if you will. So things seem to be at stake. Let me just put it that way. I'm no expert. I'm not going to say that I am, but I speak to farmers every week. I'm on the road. I'm going out to their farms, and I hear prices are low, prices of inputs are high. There's no market for my crop right now. So I'm not going to steal your thunder, but I'm going to ask you, with all that being said, with what we're speaking about here, with what matters most, and how I Farm I Vote ties all this together and all the issues. If you can, what are some of the big things that you guys see or you see that are big issues in agriculture right now that people maybe should be more informed on or maybe even aware of?
Yeah, that's there's definitely a lot obviously we could talk about on that. I think whenever I think of the big issues that we work on, the first thing that comes to mind, especially on the state level, right, is tax issues. I think a lot of people maybe don't, when they think agriculture policy, the first thing that comes to mind might not be tax policy. But I think our state has really set up well to ease the citizens' tax burden. It's been something, if you watch the news, if you keep up with state politics, that's probably something you've heard a lot about recently. But on the state level, we have a lot of programs to benefit farmers and to try to help increase margins as much as we can by reducing the tax burden on our farms. There's a lot of, the first two big programs that come to mind are GATE and CUVA, the Georgia Agricultural Tax Exemption Program and the Conservation Use Value Assessment Program. So I think on the state level, tax is a huge thing. But on both levels of government, I think another thing is government regulation and overburdensome government. That's something we fight against a lot, is we want to level the playing field as much as we can, not only amongst other states and the regulatory burden that farmers might face, state to state. We want to be on an even playing field with our surrounding states, but also federally, internationally. How do we set our farmers up in D.C. to succeed, and how do we try to fight against overburdensome regulation coming down out of the federal government? So that's definitely two huge things. But other things that we see, especially on the federal level, is trade policy. Foreign policy is really important in agriculture. How do we market ourselves, and not only Georgia agriculture, but agriculture in America? How do we market ourselves to other countries? And a lot of foreign policy and a lot of trade policy comes into that. So there's a lot of things we could talk about, issues that are facing agriculture. But I think the two that really come to mind where the government can really step in, where government really does step in and affect our farmers and our producers' bottom line the most, would probably be government regulations and good tax policy. I think those are two big areas that if our state continues doing what our state's been doing and easing that citizens' tax burden, I think it helps farmers' pockets and it helps their bottom line. And if we can fight against overburdensome regulations and overburdensome government, I think those are two big areas that we can win.